It'll probably be like 6:07.
Oh, yeah.
The Emporia State football team clawed back to within 10 in the fourth quarter, but a 21-0 deficit proved too much as Central Oklahoma claimed their first MIAA title with a 55-38 victory over the Hornets to wrap up the regular season at Chad Richardson Stadium in Edmond, Oklahoma last November. Now the Hornets with over 50 newcomers look to put ESU back on top of the MIAA for the first time since 2003. And with that, we welcome you into the brand new Hornet Talk here at 627 Event Space, 627 Commercial here in downtown Emporia. The Hornets rounding up 2024 with a 7-4 record, a 5-4 mark overall. That's ESU's fourth straight winning season, with last year snapping a 3-year postseason streak and a 3-year streak of 9-win seasons. Emporia State is picked in the middle of the conference, and they open up the season starting on Thursday with a Thursday night affair against the Beavers of Minot State out of the Northern Sun Intercollegiate Conference. Minot State is coming off of its best season in Division II history. They had never had even better than a 3-win season since turning Division II. They won 5 games last year under their third-year head coach. So the Beavers trying to move in the other direction here, where the Hornets trying to get back to the top of the very difficult MIAA. Thursday night is the start for the strikeout at Jones Field at Welch Stadium. Our pregame coverage begins at 6 with the kickoff at 7:05 on Mix 104.9. Glad you're all with us and have made the adjustment here to a new location. We enjoyed the relationship 30 years at our previous spot, but we are so excited to be here at 627 Event Space in downtown Emporia. They think they're going to treat you right here. Hope that you guys enjoy the atmosphere and the ambiance as we get set to take a look at Hornet sports each and every week. And just a programming note for people who have watched on the KVOE TV feed for video, this is now streaming. The video will be streaming now on the ESU Athletics YouTube channel. So ESU Athletics YouTube channel. So the video is still available. You can listen online, kvoe.com/listen. Just as you have normally, the games will be the same place as they have been for decades. Mix 104.9. Just a couple of different changes here. And one other change here, along with the location, is that next week we will have a show on Labor Day. We take that day off and come back since we're in the lunch hour, but I figure most of you guys coming back from the lake, you don't want to cook on Monday night anyway, so just come down. They're opening up for 627 Event Space. So go enjoy your Labor Day and all the festivities. Get back into town 5 or 6 o'clock and stop on in. So we will have Hornet Talk on Labor Day next week. So that's one other programming note for that. And the other thing is that the kickoff has been adjusted back 5 minutes. Of course, it'll be available on the MIAA network. One of 3 appearances matching the conference high for anybody in the MIAA. The Hornets will be featured on television 3 times with a 7:05 kickoff coming up on Thursday between the Beavers and the Hornets. When we come back, we will welcome in for the first time here head coach Garrett Higgins as we get set to preview the Week 0 matchup, Game 1. It's the Hornets and the Beavers. And for the first time ever, I'm proud to say, live from 627 Event Space, this is Hornet Talk. You're listening to Emporia State Football.
And to the game, we're celebrating after 627 advanced space bar in New York. With a rebound burger and a coupon and $11 here up in the budget. 627 has it covered. Emporia, the spot with great clean clothes and wonderful brands. 627 advanced space bar in New York. The new title, Hornet Talk at 627.
No, I always. Minot State here at the brand new Hornet Talk 627 event space downtown Emporia. Come get the special here on Monday night. $5 small chicken finger basket here at 627 event space. And we weren't quite as loud at the other place as I would like us to be. So I'd like everybody here with a round of applause to welcome in for the first time at 627 head coach Garrett Higgins, ladies and gentlemen. Every single week when we bring you on, Coach. How have you been? And I know that you are so excited to get things going here for 2025.
Yeah, no question. We had a great camp. You know, this has been a little bit different than maybe what we're used to in years past. We just have so many new players. I'm excited about this group. I think we are right now. We need to go play, and I don't know how much better we can get in the next 2 days. To me, it's about just our mental preparation. Making sure that, in the first game, you never know what's going to happen. You got to cover everything, all the different situations, and we have done that. It's just, again, when you have veterans, it's a little bit different, but this year it's a lot of new guys. I really like this group as far as their competitiveness. I think we're very athletic. We could have one of the most athletic teams that I've had. But again, we have to be able to execute. We're going to have to be a very disciplined football team in this game because we're facing an offense that is that we don't see in the MIAA. And this is a program, their coach, Coach Shields, and I do not know him personally, but they had the best season in the history of Minot State. So
Yes, in the Division II area.
That's
yes.
right. And this is a big game for them. And they got a lot of players back. It's a veteran ball club. So it's going to be a big test for us. This is a great test for us in our first game.
You've mentioned a couple of different times how excited you are. I think somebody from Topeka on television asked you, and like, man, it feels like you're one here at Emporia State. And just watching you, talking with you, it seems like it is a little bit different. Not that you weren't excited the last 2 years, coaching Brady Gleason in his last year and Tyler Common in his last year, but is there something that makes this, it just feels like you got a little extra juice this year? I don't know if you've noticed that or if maybe it's just me, but is there something about this season that makes you especially excited?
Well, I think I always got the juice, okay?
I would agree with that.
I think the coaches would attest to that, especially when we get into game week. I think what I've said all along with this group is we got to get our hands dirty and really just coach everything in detail with this group, because when you have veterans, sometimes they know kind of the little things that you do each and every day. With this group, we kind of had to show them just how to take the field. What we always slap the goalpost, the MTXC goalpost, and we take the field. Just little tiny things like that. And that's what I said to coaches. We got to get our hands dirty. We got a young group too. This might be the first time in a long time when we got some true freshmen. They're going to set up or going to suit up, and they may be able to see some action.
Yeah, you got a lot of newcomers on your 2 deep, which we'll get to. Let's go back first to 2024, a 7-1 start, a fantastic start to the season. You wrap up at 7-4, and I know that you guys, I wish you had finished the season a little bit better, specifically and especially on the defensive side of the ball. Overall, how will you look back and think about 2024? Still another very solid season, but not quite at the very high standard that you've set.
Well, that's exactly right, and that's what we want it to be like here, to be quite honest with you. That 7-4 is not good enough. And, it was disappointing because we started off the year 7-1. I think you always, as a head coach and as a coaching staff, I think you can always go back and learn about the previous year. And, there's a lot of, and anytime you lose the last 3 games, you really check yourself and how we could have been better as a staff, how our players could have been better. I think that we lost some confidence. I think defensively we lost some confidence at the end of the year last year, and we're playing like we were at the beginning of the year. And I just think that we let that affect us, just like the UCO game when we got down. I think it affected us a little bit, and then we made a comeback. So, again, disappointing, but that's in the past now. That's in the rearview mirror, and we've taken that and put it up. And just like I told the team in the first team meeting, every team is different. This team is going to have a different personality than every team that we've had. It needs to develop its own personality organically, or whatever they like to say, to how this team's going to be. I think we're going to have a lot of swagger on this team. I really do. I think we just have to make sure that we know how to control that swagger. And it's something that I do like about this team, but at the same time, it makes me a little nervous too as well.
I know that you so many times have talked about the talent level on this team and about how this might be in year number 19, season 18, right? That this is maybe the most talented team that you've ever had. And you've had some talented teams. In terms of reining these guys in, what have you learned about these guys? The ones that did come in fall camp, the ones that did come in the spring, the ones that stayed over in the summer. We're going to talk later on in the show, by the way, with Tyler Kitzman, the strength and conditioning coach, obviously kind of the drill sergeant during the, setting things up for the summer. The guys have to be on their own, but certainly when they get back, he's the one that sets the tempo. And we'll also be joined by CJ Adams off the defensive line. Talk a little bit about being the leader, part of that dark side defense, what they're calling themselves this year. But as you bring those new guys together, how do you feel like all the new pieces are kind of fitting in? And you talked earlier on about the importance of building some chemistry. Have you been able to do that?
Well, I think so. That's I fall back on my psychology degree.
You have one, yes.
And I think that's another thing about this coaching staff that we really have worked on in the spring, summer, and really through fall camp is it's not about having the best talent. You know, you can have the most talented team, but it doesn't matter if that team doesn't work hard, if they don't come together as a team. I think it's real important. I think communication is real important with this group. I think it doesn't matter what we know as coaches until they know how much we care about them as individuals. I think that's been, trying to get these guys that are new to buy into that, to buy into like our doors are always open as coaches. We're going to coach them really hard, and that's not going to change. But at the same time, if we communicate with them and let them know what is going to be expected of them in the spring and in the summer and in the fall, and are honest with them and have that communication, then hopefully it's going to help. Because you're right, we have a lot of talent, but we haven't seen that talent in a situation where there's some adversity. And those are some of the things we try to, simulate that a little bit in practice, adversity and things, but it's just not the real thing when you have a real school up there, and but I think we had probably one of those physical springs we've had since I've been here. I guess maybe my early years it was really physical in the spring, but we really tried to do that to kind of find out where we're at and kind of find out what guys can really help us. And we've had a really good camp. This is a very competitive group. I really think these guys love the game of football. I just want these guys to care about the right thing. And competing is caring about the right thing, but also, not sweating the small stuff and being a disciplined football team and all those things. I think we'll have it. It's going to be a process. It will be. And, who knows how it's going to be Thursday night. I mean, we may struggle a little bit. We're breaking in another new quarterback this fall and, a lot of new receivers that they have experience, but not. Trendon Collins is coming back as our leading receiver. We got a new S back we got to break in. So there's new tailbacks, you name it. All right. But that's what's exciting about it, to be quite honest with you. And that's what I'm excited about this team. I'm ready to take the field with this team on Thursday night.
Well, you mentioned how competitive it has been. We've got the opening 2 deep of the year right here in front of us on the backside. How competitive was it to make some of these final decisions? I think that you had a pretty good idea on some positions of who was going to win, but I think maybe some people who would have looked at last year and seen things would look at this and say, that position's a little bit surprising. How difficult was it to make that final cut between the 1 and the 2, or maybe even between who gets on the depth chart at 2 and who doesn't make it?
Right. I think that it was difficult in a few places. I think that, I look at our linebackers. I think it's the deepest group and the most talented group of linebackers we've had since I've been here. Now, whoever takes the field first, I don't think it's really going to matter because I think they all can help us. And those are the things when I talk about they need to not sweat the small stuff and understand that regardless of who takes the field first, we're going to need everybody's help to win this football game. I think that if you look at our receiver core, we lost a great player in Tyler Common. I think we got more.
Is he pretty good?
He was decent.
Yeah, I think he was.
He was decent. So, but I think that we are deeper at that position, and we do have some inexperience there. I think that same thing. I think our running back play can be better this year than it was last year. I think defensive line. I think that we're trying to develop some depth there. I feel really good about that position. And I think our offensive line. I tell you, if there's one position I feel just where we did lose some starters at, that I think the group has showed a lot of toughness, a lot of grit, is that group. I really do. I think Coach Cash really, just talking to him, he really enjoys coaching those guys. Just again, when you have a lot of guys that don't have a lot of experience now, they should be paying attention and listening and taking notes and all those things. So it was difficult in maybe some positions, but if it was difficult, then that means that they're all going to play and they're all going to help us and they're all going to need to find a role on special teams too as well.
We've got the game coming up for you on Thursday, Mix 104.9. It's a 7:05 kickoff, 5-minute delay there for MIAA television purposes. It is a blackout. So, hey, black and gold, but leave the gold at home. Wear your black out there on Thursday, 6 o'clock for the pregame coverage for the RV Doc pregame show. When we come back, we'll get our first guest interview of the year in. It's Tyler Kitzman. He is the head strength and conditioning coach for Emporia State, now in his third year. Live from 627 Event Space, this is Hornet Talk. You're listening to Emporia State football.
And this is now celebrating after by 627 Event Space Bar and Grill. Whether you're running a burger before kickoff or winding down with a beer after the buzzer, 627 has you covered. Emporia, go-to spot for great food, cold drinks, and unbeatable vibes. 627 Event Space Bar and Grill. A new home and Hornet Talk at 627 Commercial.
Here we go, Phil. Here we go, Phil.
State University Hornets. Stayers up.
24.9.
Back here at 627 Event Space, getting set for game number 1, week 0 matchup against the Minot State Beavers on Thursday at Welch Stadium. Join us for the pregame coverage at 6 o'clock on Mix 104.9, the voice of the Hornets. Joining us now is the third-year strength and conditioning coach for Emporia State, Tyler Kitzman, joining us on the show here today. Coach Kitzman, appreciate your time. Thanks so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Well, we talked about a little bit coming up. You know, you feel like the guys are in pretty good shape. We'll get to the matchup here in a little bit. First of all, just you being your third year here, I'm assuming a little bit more comfort in the role. How has that gone? And kind of coming in with a chance to do something totally different that's never been done at Emporia State before, having a strength and conditioning coach. I know you oversee the whole department, but specifically focused on football and kind of working with Coach Higgins to put things in place to kind of make the program from scratch exactly how you want it.
Yeah, it's exciting to be a first-time head guy and start something completely new from scratch. And I'm extremely fortunate working for a guy like Coach Higgins. It's trust and belief, and he trusts and believes in what I do, and gives me the autonomy to put our guys in the best position possible. So, like I said, 30 years, it's kind of flown by, it seems like. But to build this from the ground up and to help this program move forward, it's been phenomenal.
looking at the off season, that's obviously one of the things that you focus on a lot because that's when a lot of conditioning happens. Now, there's certain rules and limitations in terms of how hands-on you can be in terms of getting guys to do things. And they always say, of the summer workouts are voluntary, quote unquote. That's been going back to high school, I think. But you're there in the office every day, and you can go out to the field every day. Well, how would you say the off-season buy-in has been from the guys in terms of getting themselves in the best physical shape that they can be in to be in the best position to make plays here coming up this week?
Yeah, I mean, the buy-in is tremendous. And it is optional, but our guys understand to play to be successful at the level we need to be. It's not optional. We have 88, I think it was the number 88 guys this summer. They're 4 days a week, plus the schedule varies. To be successful, especially in this conference at this place, you have to have that kind of buy-in and those kind of guys who trust and believe, trust and believe in what they're doing and what the coach is doing.
Looking at the culture, you talk a lot about, sometimes whether it's, what you guys call run club at the end of practice a little bit, or in the huddle, sometimes you'll talk about the culture, and you've mentioned that so many times. What is it about this culture that really has drawn you and attracted you so much to this job and just Emporia State football in general?
Yeah, I mean, the culture is, it's again, goes back to Coach Higgins. It's tough, smart, physical, we're built on core bricks. Again, we have great support. This community is fantastic, and to do what we've been able to do in a couple of years I've been here. We've gone on the road twice the past 2 seasons and knocked off top 5 teams. And to do that, you have to have a culture that understands who we are, what we try to do, recruits the right guys, brings in the right guys, and the coaches that coach, coach their fronts off. So the culture, it's huge here, but this is what we have to be successful.
We are talking with Kyler Kinsman. He is the strength and conditioning coach for Emporia State. They are at home taking on the Minot State Beavers out of North Dakota coming in, and this is a home-and-home series. Hornets will return the favor next year. Pre-game coverage 6 o'clock for the RV Doc pregame show on Mix 104.9. Talk us through a normal game day. Obviously, you're not. I don't think that Coach Higgins lets you call any plays, or I don't know if you elbow Coach Lopo and be like, "Hey, let's blitz on this play." What's a normal game day look like for you?
Yeah, I mean, normal game day, it's from the minute we get in, and we get into, depending on what day, last time kickoff a little bit different than 1 o'clock kickoffs. But it's total support. It's helping our coaches, it's helping our players, put them in the best position possible to be successful on game day, because that's what it's all about. It's not about what I'm doing or what I want to do. What I think I want to do, the goal is to go win on Saturdays. How can I help Coach Higgins, Coach Reporter, Coach Cash? How can I help our players be successful in any way possible? Whether that's giving them nutrition, giving them power aids, drip drop hydration stuff. Whatever we can do to go get them to end the W, that's what we're about.
I know one thing that has really changed a lot, maybe even more so than just adding you, but from talking with guys who have been in the program for a while, the access to different elements of strength and nutrition have really changed. And there's a lot more science, and how do you figure out what to believe? But that little area down there, it's kind of transformed. It's still in a corner, but it's not just a corner with a fridge full of chocolate milk anymore. You guys have a lot of extra stuff. What goes into figuring out what you guys need for your guys to refuel and rejuvenate, especially after those tough fall camp workouts?
Absolutely. And again, that goes back to the community support and what we're able to provide our guys. It's phenomenal. I've said it to our players, I've said it to our coaches, administration as well. What we have available there, it's better than our FCS program. So that's something we take pride in. That's something that we really hang our hats on. Because again, we're about developing guys. How do you bring in, you mentioned Tyler Coleman a couple of minutes ago. You bring in a guy like that, how do you get him an NFL opportunity? I think of Jaron Joseph last year. I've met Jaron Joseph, he's 190 pounds, and he gets an NFL minicamp opportunity at 207 pounds because we're able to fuel their bodies the right way and help them be as successful as they can in football players. So that's huge.
That's interesting you say that, because there is like a training staff element, which Leah does a great job making sure that guys recover from injury. But how much do you work with maybe a position coach? Maybe Coach Cash comes in and says, hey, we need to put some weight on this guy. Maybe in the MIAA, maybe it's like, hey, we need to take some weight off this guy because we got to go faster. How much do you work with the athletes and tailor individual plans to fuel, put something in their body that's going to get them to whatever weight you need them to be out, whether that's 5 more pounds or maybe it's 5 less pounds.
Yeah, it's hand in hand. You know, from pretty much the moment we recruit these guys, whether they're transfers or true freshmen, you know, our coaches kind of have a vision for them. You know, we're hand in hand. Hey, it's this guy's a 200-pound linebacker. That's not going to be very successful in the NCAA. How can we get him to 220 and run faster, jump higher, be more powerful? You know, it's just constant. We're trying to help our guys be the best ball players they can be. So, you know, it doesn't just happen in silos. We have to be constantly communicating, helping our guys be as successful as possible. Sometimes that does require, like you said earlier, the run club. We
Sure.
a few pounds, but our players believe fully in what we're about, and they trust us as coaches, which is phenomenal.
How much does that culture get built when you guys have lifting after practice in summer camp? And I know now, since there's school, boy, at 6:30 and 7 o'clock alarm clock, can't be easy for all of those guys to get into the weight room in the morning before class starts.
Absolutely. But you know, again, the culture is what we have to do to be successful. And you know, for guys, you know, we had CJ Adams right here. Some of our younger guys or newer guys in the program, all you got to look at is a guy like him, Tyler Common, Jan Joseph a year ago. The examples are all there. How do I be successful? What are they doing? I emulate them, and then when it's my time, I become, you know, what it takes to be a guy here. So the culture is it's top notch, and that's what helps us be successful year in year out.
Tyler Kitzman is my guest, strength and conditioning coach in Emporia State football. Once you talk about a guy who is big time culture, Rylan Miller definitely, you know, is emblematic of that for Hornet football and so much more. Definitely not short on personality with that one. What's it like to have him kind of under your wing as a GA, strength and conditioning coach who kind of wants to do what you're doing at some point, I think?
Yeah, no, I can remember the first time I sat down with Rylan Miller. I was talking with our Iron Hornet captains. My first summer here, he was part of it. And, you know, his first question was, hey, how can I get into strength and conditioning? And since then, he's been in, he's volunteering his time, and now his football career is over, so he's moved into being a graduate assistant. And having a guy like that is phenomenal. He's a student athlete, he knows what it takes. And he's the same way. He takes his lessons from Coach Higgins, we all do. We got to work our butt off to be successful. And he got coached by Coach Higgins for 5 years. So
sure.
He knows what it takes, and he's just a great addition to the staff, as well as Lane Brewer, my full-time assistant. Lexi Williams, who was a former softball player for us. Just a great staff to help grow us.
Looking at week 0, obviously, you know, you're not going to get necessarily a test of your fitness right off the bat just because the flex bone might not stay. Not that you can't run up tempo with the flex bone, because I've seen it before, but that's not what they're anticipating. Maybe going to squeeze that clock out. A little bit of Missouri Southern style football in there, so down to 5 seconds or so on the play clock. So maybe not a real big test of the conditioning in week 0, but overall, what do you want to see out of these guys in week 0 coming up on Thursday?
Yeah, Coach kind of said it, you know, it's offensively, we got to play with tempo, great details, great execution. Mistakes can happen in week 0, that's everybody calls for. But we got to be able to fly around and play our kind of style of offense. Defensively, yeah, they're going to kind of advance the game a little bit, but there's no reason, go later in the game, third, fourth quarter, those guys lining up against our defense. They should be asking themselves, do we really want to play more snaps, or we have to kind of physically impose our will a little bit? The conditioning might not show up, but physically, we still have to be able to put our will against it for 4 quarters.
Season opener Thursday, Minot State, Emporia State, Blackout. We'll see you there at Welch Stadium. 7 o'clock kickoff on Mix 104.9. Strength and conditioning coach Tyler Kitzman joining us here for our first ever show at 67 Event Space. Have a great season. Thank you so much. We'll continue the show. Right after this. CJ Adams off the defensive line is coming up after this. Live from 627 Event Space, this is Hornet Talk. You're listening to Emporia State Football. back here at 627 Event Space. Blake Cripps with you as we get set for the season opener against the Minot State Beavers non-conference tilt out of the Northern Sun Intercollegiate Conference. Mainly think the Dakotas, Minnesota up there very far north. And we will have the Beavers in town on Thursday for a 7 to 5 kickoff pregame coverage with the RV Doc pregame show at 6 here on Mix 104.9. We are now joined by C.J. Adams, senior defensive lineman off this defense, 6'2" redshirt senior out of Eden, Oklahoma. Last year, 20 tackles for Florida State. He was third on the team with 7 tackles for loss for 24 yards. That was the second most yardage lost on his tackles on the team last year. C.J. Adams joining us here, one of the defensive captains on this year's team. Thanks for being here, C.J. How are you?
Doing good, thank you, God.
Well, how does the anticipation kind of build through camp? And now here we are finally on Monday, and man, we're hoping to see, especially with the free GA tickets, by the way, we should remind people, free GA admission, so no excuse for you to not be there. Weather looks like it's going to be perfect for season opener. It should be a packed and hopefully blackout, rowdy crowd there at Lowe Stadium for you guys.
I mean, it's going to be amazing. You know, we're excited. Hopefully we have all the fans, everybody in town out to the game. Just like you said, it's free admission, so hopefully we're able to see everybody out there.
Last season here for you guys, certainly the start, especially defensively, and it was, probably naive. You guys just played at such an unreal level defensively over the first 7 or so games. But I know that you didn't want to have the slide back at the end. Talk about the entire season with so many great performances. I think about the 7 turnovers against Northwest. That was amazing. The stops you guys made in the second half to get that road win against Pittsburgh State, but certainly didn't finish the way that you guys wanted to. Overall, your thoughts on 2024?
I just kind of feel like, Coach Higgins was mixing it a lot. We kind of lost our swagger and lost our edge at the end of the season. It's not just on Higgins, it's on all the defensive players, it's on the captains that we had last year. And, it's really sad when you think about it because, that great game that we did have, but, just trying to move on from that and just trying to get that out of my head. But, I usually think about that a lot, but just like I told you a couple weeks ago at Media Day, that's never going to happen again this year. We're not going to let that happen. We got to keep our foot on everybody's neck, so we got to continue to go.
The focus on your individual game doesn't come at the expense of your leadership. How important is it for you to make that mental switch now that coming from a group where you played with a ton of experienced guys, with the Ryland Millers, the Rafe Gouchers of the world, and boy, you even go back another year, Jordan Williams. Now you're hopefully going to step in and continue that legacy of defensive line play for Emporia State. How important is it for you to, kind of lead by example and show the guys how you're moving on?
Yeah, each and every day I show up to the facility, I have my head on the shoulder, I have my head on right, just trying to lead all the guys, Really the main thing that we're trying to focus on, bringing in a lot of guys who are just trying to stay connected throughout the year. We don't know how everybody's going to react. The last couple of years we had a lot of seniors, we had a lot of veteran guys, so we had multiple guys, we had different guys to talk to certain groups and stuff like that. And this year is completely different. But really one of my main drives was just being to try to reach out to every single body on the defensive side of the ball, even the offensive side of the ball. We're trying to stay connected because if we're connected, then we can't lose. We're going to go through adversity, but we got to stay connected throughout that adversity. So I feel like as long as we're connected, we should be fine.
C.J. Adams joining us. He is redshirt senior defensive lineman on the Emporia State team. Anything in workouts, whether it's the spring, summer, or here in fall training camp, have you focused on anything in your own individual game that you wanted to improve for your last season?
Really just trying to protect my craft, having good eyes, having good techniques. I am one of the veterans on the team, so really I don't obviously passing games, working on the hips, working on hands, seeing locators and stuff like that. But each and every day I'm always showing them the practice, just working on the little details because you can get better each and every day just working on the small little details.
It's interesting you say that because we hear about quarterbacks a lot with the rise, whether it's manipulating the defense or making sure that maybe you throw a guy open.
Yeah.
Don't hear a lot about that with the defensive guys, but I think it's very appropriate this week because with the flex bone, typically how it's run, there can be, and I think the guys are expecting there to be a lot of misdirection and they're going to throw a lot of visual noise at you. So I guess what does having good eyes mean for you on the defensive
It
line?
means everything. Just seeing and reacting to blocks. You know, we get a veer, we get an arc, we gotta get hands on, we gotta crush the guy, we gotta do everything that we gotta do. You know, if you don't have bad eyes, then bad things can happen. So just continuing to perfect our eyes, perfect our hand placement and everything like that does want to take us far.
Flexbone certainly is kind of its own little animal. Have you played against it before in high school?
I actually have my sophomore year throughout my senior year, I played against a team in Yukon, Oklahoma.
Okay.
In Flexbone.
Yes.
So I do have a little bit of experience with it, but I haven't seen it in about 6 years.
Not a whole lot of MIAA schools
Yeah,
for the
no,
old Flexbone these
no,
days. You guys have kind of come up in the last couple of years with a nickname for the defense. Last year was the Death Row defense.
Yep.
This year it's the Dark Side defense. What goes into that, and what does that mean to you guys in terms of building up that defensive culture?
It means everything. You know, what's funny, I actually brought up Death Row in the spring to Coach Higgins, and, you know, he said we ain't earned it. Which I agree because, you know, we brought in a lot of transfers, and from the previous years, we had a lot of veterans, so we could be called Death Row. That's the mean group. But, you know, this year, until we truly earn Death Row, I will not be calling the defense that. We're going to break it out on the dark side. But it's just dark side just having a mean mentality. You know, with the defensive side of the ball, we got to go be aggressive. We got to go play fast. We got to go run through people's face. So that's really just where the mentality comes from.
Well, you mentioned running through people's face, and certainly one of the, I guess, points of emphasis for week 0 from Coach Laporto was on tackling. And certainly tackling, Coach drilled a little bit differently now. How do you guys feel like you are on your tackling, especially with it seemingly going to get tested by a team that last year ran 85% of the time? So you're going to have to make some tackles there within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage to be successful.
We've been doing tackling every single day. You know, this game, you know, when the guy back gets the ball, it's not necessarily going to be tackling for loss all the time. So he's going to hit you in your chest, but you just got to continue to stay right there and bring it down.
Looking at this tempo, how do you guys kind of stay mentally engaged? Certainly when you're drilling championship drives and you have a black team versus black team, they call the black team the first string, and then the gold team and then the white team. So when it's black on black, so to speak, number ones versus number ones, certainly the Emporia State offense is not playing at a slow tempo. How do you guys kind of stay mentally engaged and not let your mind wander when you're playing a slower paced team, like maybe the Missouri Southern team from a couple of years ago that really tried to squeeze the clock on you guys?
I feel like playing against our offense, if we can play against our offense, we can play against anybody in my play. You know, obviously we have the fastest offense in my play, so us playing a slow team like that, like Mount Play, it'd be okay.
Okay, fair enough. I guess last thing for you, give us a season goal for you guys. You're one of the captains. You're one of the guys that probably is, asked by the coaching staff to come up with, hey, what do we want to achieve this year? I know for you guys, I've heard a lot talk about, hey, we want to compete for an MIAA championship this year. What is your personal goal? What's your goal for the team?
Most definitely, like, obviously, everybody says, they want to compete for a championship, but my goal is just for the team, just take it week by week. We're not trying to look into the past. We're not trying to look into the future. We're just trying to take it day by day. Just like our slogan, what's important now, each and every day we show up ready to practice, we're just focusing on that day. When we get to Minot, we're going to win. We'll focus on the film that next day, and then it's off to Angelo State.
What is important now is Thursday. I guess for you, probably practice in class tomorrow. But Thursday will be here before you know it. Minot State and Emporia State, 7:05 for the kickoff pregame coverage with the RV Doc pregame show at 6. We'll have it for you, Mix 104.9. Make sure you listen online, KVOE.com/listen. Redshirt senior captain, defensive end, CJ Adams, ladies and gentlemen, joining us here. CJ, thanks so much. Appreciate it. CJ Adams joining us here. We'll wrap up the show. We'll bring back on the head coach, Gary Higgins, talk a little bit more about the Beavers and this Flexbone coming up here in just a little bit. Make sure that you get out here at 627 Event Space. We'll be here for about another 15 minutes. We'll be here Mondays throughout the season. We will take the Monday of the bye week off again this year, so just plan that in your calendar. But otherwise, we'll be here. You can get a $5 small chicken finger basket on special every Monday and Saturday right here at 627 Event Space. Live from 627 Event Space, this is Hornet Talk. We're listening to Emporia State football. Emporia State and Minot State to open up the season coming up on Thursday. Welch Stadium, it is a blackout. So wear your Hornet black and be there with pregame coverage beginning at 6 and kickoff at 7:05 on the Voice of the Hornets, Mix 104.9. We welcome back in head coach Garen Higgins one final time on the show here. Coach, boy, the crowd did not disappoint out here at 627 Event Space for you guys tonight, didn't they?
No, it's a great crowd, great group. I appreciate everybody being here tonight. I know everybody's looking forward to Thursday night, as we are.
As we are as well. A couple of moments here just to talk about the guests, and can you just give people an idea of Coach Kissman and how things have really just dramatically changed back when, your friend and mine, Coach Goodman, when he was doing the strength and conditioning himself, and now you've got a guy that just handles all that for you.
No, he does a great job, and I know he talked about trusting. There's no question about the entire coaching staff trusting what he does with our players. He's hard on our players. He pushes them. I think they accept that. They want that. And I was thinking today. I was over there on the defensive side of football. I was looking at some of our players that got here in the spring that were new transfers, and they look different. Okay, from when they first got here to now. And I thought about that, and that's a tribute to what the type of work ethic and the things that he does with our players, not only in the weight room but also with conditioning, and then also with nutrition.
Sure.
Something I don't do a very good job of. He does a great job with it, and he is by far a big, just does a great job for our team, and a big, it just puts so much of a big emphasis on our players, even being tougher too as well.
Well, one guy who's going to be asked to be even tougher, even stronger this year is the other guest that we had, CJ Adams, on, and I know that you guys believe that he is up for the challenge to really step up and take those snaps and just take that responsibility of leading that chain gang on the defensive line, stepping into the shoes of guys like Jordan Williams and Rafe Goucher and Rylan Miller, and a lot of guys who have played a lot of snaps and played really, really well on that defensive line here recently. What about CJ Adams gives you comfort level in that position?
CJ is a great player. We look for him to have a great year this year. I think the biggest thing with CJ is such a good man off the field, and he's a captain for a reason. And he's one of those players that's been here. He knows how things are done here. Now, there's not very many guys like CJ that have been here for a long time, but he's one of those guys. And he's just been, he's gotten better every year. And he's taken a lot of responsibility and taken a lot of things on his shoulders now, being a captain. And we talk all the time about just with all of the captains and myself, just staying on the same page. Again, it goes back to what I always say about communication. And he's just one of those guys that he's been doing a great job. He's been doing a great job in camp, and he's taken upon himself. It's important for him to be a great leader.
Well, let's get into this Minot State team a little bit here. As I mentioned, a program that had really struggled, had been kind of moribund actually, but last year they go from 1 win to 5 wins in the second year of that regime. And certainly they are hoping that this may kickstart them into a really good year if they can come in and knock off the Hornets. Talk to me a little bit about this flex phone and what do you expect to see. And this obviously, unless you guys make the playoffs, and I told Coach Lopo, if you guys see this again, hey, that means you're probably in the playoffs. But flex phone, it's a far cry from what you're going to see elsewhere in the MIAA, isn't it?
No question. But we're going to talk about it one game at a time, okay? But it is going to be a little bit different team that we face. They have an identity, just like we have an identity on offense and defense. Their identity is to play great defense. They're going to control the ball. They're going to run the football. We're going to have great discipline. We're going to have great discipline in the secondary. We're going to have great eye discipline. Was what happens with those teams that run the flex phone. And Blake, you may be surprised to know this. I'm an old option guy. I grew up running the option, okay? And when I was at Northwestern Oklahoma State as a head coach, and
you won a lot of games with the option.
I won a lot of games with option football. Went and visited Air Force. All right, had lunch in 15 minutes. That's what they do at the Air Force Academy. All right, that was a little bit different for me.
Sure.
But learned the flex phone when I went to Air Force for like 3 or 4 days. So it is it's a different system, and they do it really well. And I tip my hat for what their coach has done there. He's done a great job. And like I said, this is a veteran ball club coming in here on Thursday night. Yes, they lost some starters offensively, but they do have a returning quarterback coming back who understands that system. And anytime, all right, you know this too, Blake, being around here, anytime you got a returning starter coming back, a quarterback, you can be a very dangerous football team.
Looking at their defense, the 3-3 stack is what Coach Shields calls it. He's their head coach. But he admitted this is kind of a clash of styles here because, yeah, there are a couple of teams. He said there are probably 2, maybe 3 teams. I think there may be one team that maybe switches things up this year in the Northern Sun. But they've got really only 2 teams that try to play a spread type of offense like you do. Now, I don't know if they can, and he admitted, I'm not sure if they're going to replicate the pace and tempo of the air raid that Emporia State's going to run. How much emphasis do you guys want to put on trying to get that defense uncomfortable and playing faster than they want to?
I mean, that's exactly what we want to do. I mean, I think both teams that have a different style with what we're used to seeing, just like they run the flex bone, and we're going to spread you out, and we're going to make you defend the whole field from sideline to sideline, every inch of the grass, all right? And then we're going to play as fast as you possibly can, and so it is going to be a contrast of styles. That's why I think it's going to be an exciting game. And I think for us, with us having just some new players, and we're going to have to be able to execute, at a high level, and we're definitely going to have to maintain possession of the football. And again, it's vitally important for us to play to our identity, okay, on both sides of the football.
How do you feel like the tempo has looked with a new quarterback? And I know that you're really happy with Ben Harris and how he's looked, but with so many different guys in there, Trenton Collins said, man, it doesn't matter how fast we run. Coach always wants us to go faster. How do you feel like it has looked here so far?
I'm going to be honest with you, Blake. I think Ben does a great job with the pace of our offense. I think we're playing faster than we played last year, to be quite honest with you. Now, we can't maintain that pace throughout 4 quarters, but we are deeper at receiver, like I said. We're able to kind of switch guys in and out a little bit to be able to maintain that pace. So I think really for a first-time quarterback and how he's taken it upon himself. Now he's got to execute a little bit better at times, and then that's you're going to have that when you're breaking in a new quarterback. But just how he takes the control of the offense and the pace of the offense has been outstanding this fall camp.
I guess I got time for one more question here in about a minute. Looking at the passing game, every once in a while they'll run that flex bone, try to lull you to sleep, and then hit that tight end or somebody else who you think is blocking. How do you keep your guys' assignment sound against this flex bone?
Well, it's going to be high discipline, and they're going to have to understand, whether we are in zone or in man, high discipline is going to be important. You can't. Everybody's got to maintain their gaps. Everybody's got to maintain their fits. When you're playing this option football, you got to take care of the dive. You got to take care of the pitch man. Everybody's got responsibility. Everybody's going to have to do that responsibility. And that's one of the things I liked about the option game when I ran it was the play action pass. Not necessarily about running the football and pitching it out on the perimeter and all that. It was about play action pass, lulling a team to sleep. So that's going to be huge for us come Thursday night.
Thursday night is when it all begins. Emporia State and the Minot State Beavers for the season opener. It'll be at Welch Stadium, Jones Field, and the kickoff is set for 7:05. Brilliant coverage at 6 o'clock on the Voice of the Hornets, Mix 104.9. Round of applause here for Week 0 head coach Garen Higgins, ladies and gentlemen.
And I also want to give a big shout out to we got another former, or not former alum, we got an alum coming back as the head baseball coach, John Martin.
Yes, sir.
Doing a great job there. I think we're starting to get on the job, get things done.
Talk about a home run fire. So that is it. We'll see you Thursday for the season opener. It's Emporia State and Minot State. Stay tuned. Tonight we've got Hawk Talk with Brian Haney. That's coming up next year on Mix 104.9. For our guest, Blake Cripps, saying good night. Stingers up. We'll talk to you Thursday.
I always say that. I always say that former alum. There's a lot.
You're still in a lot for sure. Right.